What is this fucking thing?
He's a plushie. He's a plushie. There.
It looks like it's going to eat me. Let's see. All right. So today I wanted to answer something that I keep getting, which is what are your thoughts on the new Mac Pro? I don't really have much thoughts on the new Mac Pro because I, like 99% of you, are not the target audience. I don't need a $52,000 computer. So one of the things that I realized, the first thing that I noticed that's probably going to make this an unpopular thought, is that 99% of the people I see talking about the new Mac Pro are people that would never in a million years be the target demographic for it. Yet they're the ones saying this is terrible, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. But you don't need 1.5 terabytes of RAM. You would never buy a computer with 1.5 terabytes of RAM in 2019 or 2020. The second thing is there's this common misconception that I dislike Apple solely because of the expense. And it's not that. I don't mind if you make an expensive product. If you want to make a laptop that you can configure at $8,000, you do you. What bothers me is when that $8,000 laptop doesn't allow you to open and close it without the screen going out, and they wait 2.5 years after gaslighting you and saying it's something you probably did to replace it. It's when the keyboard doesn't work at all, and they wait 2 to 3 years in order to make it, release a program for it. It's when it's $8,000 and you put the 52-volt power line right next to the 1.7 volt data line, so it kills your CPU when the room is humid. I don't mind it being expensive. I just want the product to live up to the expense. I want it to at least last. I don't care if you make something that is ridiculously expensive outside of the realm of whatever I would ever buy, because they're not making that product for me, and they're likely not making that product for you either. So let's just go over what it is. I just decided to try and max out a ThinkStation here. So Lenovo also makes really high-end workstations that are, like the ThinkStation P920 is not designed for 99% of the people that are out there looking for a computer. It's for a very specific type of person. So I configured it with the most expensive processor that I could see, which is the Xeon Gold 6136. I configured it with 2 of those. I maxed out the RAM, so the max you could go is 32 gigabytes of RAM, 16 pieces, which is 512 gigabytes. If I miscalculated that, my apologies. I went to public school growing up. Don't make fun of me. I got 2 Quadro RTX 8000s. I got 4 terabytes of SSD storage. So there's 2 terabyte PCI Express drives in RAID 0, and I bought the high-end, super sexy premium RAID controller, like Intel VROC premium RAID controller, and this BCM 9460 16i ROC PCI Express adapter. I don't even know what I paid $500 there for. I just wanted to make it as expensive as possible just for the hell of it. And over here, in addition to that, I got looks like I got 4 6-terabyte hard drives. So that's 4 terabytes of PCI Express SSD storage, as well as 24 terabytes of hard drive storage. Surprised they don't offer larger drives for this configuration, given that I am because they're 3.5-inch drives. I would expect for them to be able to offer me more than 6 terabytes, but that's Lenovo. Over here, it looks like regardless of how high I go with it, the fastest I can get is 1 gigabit per second from Lenovo, which is incredibly disappointing on a machine that you can configure to be over $20,000, because you're going to hit a bottleneck there if you have a NAS that uses solid-state drives. So if you have a NAS that uses solid-state storage and you're stuck with 1 gigabit, you're never going to hit the limit of even the cheapest available SATA 3 SSD over 1 gigabit per second Ethernet, which is why I don't bother screwing with a NAS a lot of the time. I just have SSDs and these little USB 3 to SATA things that I carry. Even though it's a less professional way of transferring data from one computer to another, I'd rather do the less professional way and get 300 to 500 megabytes a second than have to watch 100 to 100. I can't stand watching an SSD transfer at 100 megabytes a second. It fucking hurts my soul. So the next over here, I got some extra I/O. I got a serial port. I got their more expensive pointing device, and it comes out to $25,869. Now with the Mac Pro, I can configure this with the highest end CPU, 28-core Intel Xeon W. It's a little bothersome that they don't give you the model number of the CPU, but Apple tends to hide stuff like specifications of specific, exact parts they're putting in. For memory, you can get way more than you can on the Lenovo. You can get 1.5 terabytes instead of just 512 gigabytes, because 512 gigabytes of RAM, I mean, I don't even know how you edit a video with a single effect doing that. Thank you for opening my... What? I don't even use this mail app anymore. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, many may say, why do you need 1.5 terabytes of RAM instead of 512? And the answer there is, well, because. Obviously, I don't need it. I edit my videos with... There's no effects on the video ever, except for that one cheesy video I did with the Dream Theater song over Paul ripping out the stuff at the new store. I use an effect once a year. I do 1 or 2 audio effects on my channel, 1 video playing at any given time. Obviously, I'm not the target customer for this. But if you're editing the next version of the Matrix, perhaps 1.5 terabytes of RAM is something that would be cool to you. Now, for graphics, again, this looks like it would edge out the ThinkStation. I did my best to try and find any sort of benchmarks for this, and I can't find any. I tried to find benchmarks for the Radeon Pro Vega 2 Duo, and I could find benchmarks for a lot of different Radeons and even Vegas, but not this one. So what I did is I decided to look for a benchmark for the 5700X, which I'll show you later. For storage, you can get 4 terabytes of SSD storage, but it gives you no options for hard drives or any additional storage. So here again, the edge goes to the ThinkStation, which gives me 4 terabytes of PCI Express storage. This gives me 4 terabytes of PCI Express storage, but the ThinkStation allows me to fit a bunch more in it as well. Here, there's something called an afterburner, which is going to allow faster real-time decoding of ProRes, which is a standard codec used in the film industry, because in addition to the fact that it's easy to decode in contrast to something that's heavy on, let's say, B frames and other types of frames like X264, it's also much better for just color grading and stuff like that in general. It stands up to it better. It holds up better. And that codec, if you want to have this little card here, it'll allow it to be faster when you're decoding it in Final Cut Pro. The ThinkStation doesn't have that. This gives you the option for that. Again, if you're paying, a lot of people watching probably paid less than $2,000 for the whole computer, much less this one card. But again, this is not made for us. And the wheels, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to get caught with a computer that doesn't have $400 wheels on it, and neither should you. So I made sure to configure mine with that setting. For some reason, it's still not adding up all the way to the price that I would expect. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Okay. Apple's website is working worse than my Magento store. Yeah, there we go. So we're at $52,000. And I got the Magic Trackpad. Now, just to give you a little comparison back and forth, if we look at pure CPU power, the Edge actually appears to go to the Lenovo there. Even though the Lenovo has a slower CPU, it actually has 2 of them. So over here, this is the performance of one of the CPUs from the Lenovo, 21,000. Here's the performance of one of the CPUs from the Mac, 33,000. Now, to be clear, I couldn't find out the exact model of the CPU. So it says 2.5 gigahertz, 28-core Intel Xeon W processor. And when I was looking through the list over here, every single W processor I could find from Intel that is 2.5 gigahertz does not have 28 cores. So I decided to give them the benefit of the doubt that they typoed their website or something, or that maybe... So here, look, these are 2 Intel W series 2.5 gigahertz processors, and that's 14-core, and that is also 14-core. So just for the hell of it, I decided, you know what? Let me give Apple the benefit of the doubt that it's not a 2.5 gigahertz 28-core processor, that it's a 3.1 gigahertz 28-core processor. Even if I give Apple that benefit of the doubt, it still has less computing power than the Lenovo. This is a 33,538 score. There's 1 CPU in there. Now, the ThinkStation, that's less than half the price, has 2 of these, which means a CPU mark that you're going to get of around 42,000. So that is going to be twice as fast. Well, it's not going to be twice as fast as this. It's going to be twice as fast as one of these, which is still going to be, I would say, about 30% better than this. So the Lenovo is going to have 30% faster CPU performance than the Apple at about half the price. Then we move on to the world of graphics. Now with graphics, the RTX 8000 average G3D mark, 10,980. Again, I couldn't find exact benchmarks anywhere for this. Maybe I'm just being lazy and didn't want to do the research. But so I decided, okay, let me just scroll down here, and I don't know if the W5700X is supposed to be better than the Vega 2 Duo or worse, because I'm a scrub that doesn't build computers because I hate building computers. And this over here is 14,000 score. So if I were to go for this GPU, the Apple machine is going to have somewhere around maybe 20-40% better performance than the ThinkStation. So you're going to get about 20 to 40% better performance here. Now when it comes to RAM, RAM is another area where the Apple kicks the crap out of the ThinkStation. The ThinkStation goes up to 512 gigabytes of RAM, and the Apple goes up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM. This is taking 128 gigabyte sticks. Now, I'm not actually sure if this motherboard would support the 128 gigabyte sticks because I am a scrub. So this says it has 12 128 gigabyte. Yeah, 12 128 gigabyte sticks. This has 16 32 gigabyte sticks. I'm kind of curious if you could put the 128 gigabyte sticks in that board. Let's see. DDR4 2666 megahertz, ECC 128 GB. Let's see how much it would cost to add that. Let's Google this. I want to see what does it cost for one stick of that ECC RAM. Oh my God. All right. So if you wanted, okay, so if you wanted, I don't know if the board supports it because again, I'm being a scrub, but this is, so if you wanted, you could swap out the RAM over here for this. So let's see what they're charging for RAM over here.
Hey, really quick.
So it goes from.
How bad do you think thermal throttling will be?
I don't think so, because Apple hasn't had thermal throttling problems with their. Here's some money to go towards Lewis's Mac Pro fund. $100. I think I'm getting the cheapest Mac Pro at that point. But thank you very much. Thank you. I genuinely appreciate that. I still think I'm short of a Mac Pro. All right, so it looks like Lenovo is charging you about $5,000 for the RAM. Now, if I wanted to have, let's see, 128 gigabytes, if I put 15 of these in there, yeah, if I get 15 of these in there, I'm looking at about maybe $13,000 or $15,000. So if I wanted to get the RAM in this to be as much as the RAM in this, I'm still looking at like $35,000 overall cost. I'm looking at around $35,000 overall cost. Obviously, it does require opening the machine and modifying it, which again, if you're looking at spending $25,000 to $52,000 for a computer, clearly you're not building one for yourself. And there's no alternative to this. I don't see this machine having an option for the afterburner card. So you do get more RAM with the Mac Pro. However, you're able to upgrade this yourself with RAM that you can get on Amazon, assuming the board will support it, which is, again, a lot of assuming there. Assuming the board supports it, you would be able to get more RAM on the ThinkStation than you can on the Mac, because I don't think that they're going to have more than 12 slots. It's not like Apple to leave room in anything for expansion over what the configuration is on the website. Excuse me if I'm wrong, it's just not something I've come to expect from them. And with the graphics, you could obviously put different graphics cards in the ThinkStation if you wanted to. And obviously you could, I'm kind of curious if the Mac is going to come with gigabit Ethernet or 10 gigabit Ethernet. At $52,000, there's no fucking excuse for this thing to not have gigabit Ethernet. 2 10 gigabit Ethernet ports. All right, so right out of the box, even if you buy a low-end Mac Pro, right out of the box, you get 10 gigabit Ethernet, which again is one of those things where it is an element of taste. In my opinion, if you're spending 5 figures on any type of computer, if you're spending 5 figures on any computer, it should have 10 gigabit Ethernet. There's something to me that is disgusting having an SSD and a NAS and it transferring over the network at the speed of a hard drive. It just makes me sick. But you could get any sort of 10 gigabit per second PCI Express card and put it in that ThinkStation with its PCI Express port. Ethernet card. And let's see, what is that going to cost you? 10 gigabit per second Ethernet. PCI Express, 10 gigabit Ethernet. Come on. Available only from these sellers. What? Google, you're failing me. Don't fail me, Google. Okay, so like $159 for a card. Let's see, what does it cost here? Yeah, so this is negligible. You could add it on your own. Again, I don't think you should have to add it on your own. Shame on Lenovo for making a machine that can cost $25,000 where you have to add 10 gigabit per second Ethernet. But at the same point, you're saving a lot of money over going with Apple. So even if you wanted to go with any one of these ridiculously expensive cards here rather than the cheaper ones, I wouldn't buy Roswell stuff from my worst enemy. If you want to buy an Intel card, I would trust an Intel card. 10 gigabit per second Ethernet, $159. So that's negligible in the cost of things. So if I wanted to get this computer to a point where it had as much RAM as the Mac Pro, I'm looking at about $35,000. And if I wanted to get better graphics cards, let's just see what it would cost me to get those better graphics cards. So if I wanted to buy this Radeon RX 5700 XT card, two of those, let's see, what does this thing cost? That can't be right. That thing performs way better than everything else. High-end video card. I'm missing something here. How is it that the RTX 8000 performs worse than the Quadro 6000? Yeah, so how is it that the $10,000 Quadro performs worse than the $6,300 Quadro? That's confusing. Strangeness. So I wanted to kind of get an idea of if you really wanted to build up the ThinkStation to make the graphics performance on par with the Mac, what it would cost. But overall, it looks like you can get the ThinkStation to about 90%. You're missing that Afterburner card, and to be honest with you, I don't really know what would be considered equivalent there. But it looks like you can get the ThinkStation to the point where it's fairly close to the Apple for about $10,000 to $15,000 less. So I'm imagining that you're spending about a $10,000 Apple tax or so, which given the cost of the product is really the 10 to 20 to 30% Apple tax that is standard for this machine. 5700 XT isn't Radeon Pro. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying. Can anybody find a benchmark for this thing? Mac, can anybody get a benchmark to this card that goes in this machine? Because I'm really curious to see how it would perform. How is he replying to something while talking about something else? I have 4 hands. One of them's laughing at me. One of them is definitely laughing at me. Those benchmarks usually love high clock speed over stream processor CUDA core count. Vega is heavily compute-based compared to Navi. Is this recorded or live? Recorded. That's why it says live stream on the video.
Definitely recorded, Mr. Marbles.
The Mac Pro card is Mac only. Yeah, I know it's Mac only. I'm just really surprised that nobody's benchmarked it. I'm really surprised that nobody spent $52,000 for the right to benchmark it. You're a capitalist. What are your thoughts on customer feedback line, which business owners must check every so often? If employees get performance reviews, why not business owners? I'm really this is one thing that I remember hearing, and I don't know if this is bullshit or not, but I remember hearing Jeff Bezos say that every manager at some point in time should have to deal with customer service phone calls so that they have an idea of what it is like to be a customer of the company, and also how they, how it forces them to fix shit that bothers customers. Or you can't have services that you offer that suck if you're the one that has to deal with the customer. And I think it is somewhat important to have that. Look at the back of the Mac Pro. Hole for I/O plate is literally a hole. You must disconnect all cables in order to lift up the housing. And Eric is pointing to something else to confuse me. It's configurable out of the box, socketed CPU, and SODIMMs if I am not wrong. Why spend that much money for Mac OS? It is what it is. If you like Final Cut Pro 10, then you spend the money. If you use Adobe, then you can use it. Crashes equally on any platform you use it on. I used to use Vegas. I stopped because Vegas crashes like crazy. I started using DaVinci Resolve, which is available on every platform. It's more confusing than Vegas, and I'm slower editing it than Vegas, but it's nicer. If the Mac Pro had an SFP add-on, that'd be great. A lot of people don't even use the machine yet, so not a lot of benchmarks. I would honestly buy the Pro Display XDR, although I haven't seen the display yet. But yeah, it looks like, again, that high-end configuration of the Mac Pro, it is a configuration that I think you could duplicate with the ThinkStation. I think that you could get maybe 90% of the 80 to 90% of the graphics performance on the ThinkStation that you get on the Mac Pro, and you'd still only be and you get more CPU performance. Keep that in mind. About 20 to 30% more CPU performance on the ThinkStation, and you can get as much RAM, and you're going to spend about $15,000 to $17,000 less. You're going to have to put the RAM in yourself, and you're going to have to install the card yourself. But it's not like Apple's charging $52,000 for a computer that's worth $10,000, and that's the thing. You know, the amount of outrage that I've seen at this computer appears to be the amount of outrage you would expect if Apple was charging $52,000 for something that's worth $5,000 to $10,000, and that's clearly not the case here. You're paying a fairly hefty Apple tax there. Let's see. Yeah, you're paying about a 35% Apple tax, but that's not something that I think is uncommon. It's a standard seemingly. It's the same Apple tax that's applied to everything else. And if the machine actually works, if it genuinely does what it's supposed to do, I don't care. If they release this $52,000 machine and the 52-volt power line is next to the 1-volt data line and it dies for no reason, then we have a problem. But ultimately, I don't really mind it costing this much. Have had to fix iPhones for a year now, only fixed 3 MacBooks. They are trash. That's Tristan Parks for $5. Thank you for the $5. But also, you've only fixed 3 of them. It's fairly interesting that whatever the hell it is that VideoCardBenchmark.net is doing, that the RTX 6000... Wait a second. Okay, this is really confusing. Yeah, the RTX 6000 actually costs more money from Lenovo than the RTX 8000. This is... Damn. Clearly showing how little I know with memorizing these numbers. People watching are probably laughing their ass off. How do you not know the performance level of the different Quadro RTXs? Oh, look at this. Quadro RTX 6000. One of them, you save an additional... Yeah, you save a lot of more money buying the RTX 8000 than you do this one. So over here, the 5,000 to 6,000 is 5,000 to 8,000 is an improvement, but 8,000 to 6,000 is a different amount of money? Hey, Lewis, saw your video about losing your mind to incompetence, clipping in for the coffee. Keep up the great work. Coffee also makes me lose my mind, so I try to avoid it. Yeah, this doesn't make much sense. How often do you two feel appreciated? I feel appreciated, except for when my kitty leaves me. My kitty was there at the beginning of the stream.
But you know what?
Can you include my previous question in your response to it if you edit this video? I think employers need to hear what you said about that. Maybe. I also don't know really where I don't plan on editing this. Erica was the one who suggested I stream it because she's realizing my laziness in editing. Just download more RAM. I'm a TV producer, studio designer. If you're interested in spitballing ideas for your streaming rig, feel free to hit me up. YouTube turned off the messaging feature, so unfortunately I have no way to hit you up, and your message is about to flow by, and I will forget who you are in 3, 2, 1, and it's off the screen. Thank you, YouTube, for getting rid of the messaging feature that would allow me to answer people like him, by the way. How's it going, Susan W? Best social media CEO. The only ripoff is the low-end Mac Pro models. The mid and high-end models are great deals compared to other Windows PCs. Yeah, again, when I hear people say I can get 50 to 60 to 70% of the performance of that by building it for way less money, it's like, this is not made for you. It's not for you. It's for people that want the highest end of the highest end of the highest end, that don't want to lift a finger to build anything, that wanted to just show up, run Final Cut, and work. Because the people who are buying this machine are using it to make insane, ridiculous amounts of money from it. That's what they're buying it for. It is disappointing that even with the highest speed CPU option, honestly, like a 33,000, again, that's assuming they typoed and they mean 3.1 gigahertz, not 2.5. Assuming they made a typo, that's really not that much faster than the Threadripper that I put in my office a year ago. Because I put the 2950X Threadripper in, and I got it for about $950 on sale. I feel disgusting. I haven't spent that much on a processor.
Hey, do you fix PlayStation?
HDMI port on occasion, in the rare case that someone wants to pay for it. Oreo is best office cat 2020, says JP. Hello, JP. If people have $52,000 for a workstation, they can pay for the extras, including fixing it in the premium fee. The reason they're so different is because of the video RAM. So people don't run out of VRAM when doing CAD or graphics intensive work. Yeah, again, it's not the price of that machine is not crazy outrageous for what you get. Do you think Mac Pro will have any issues cooling that Intel Xeon processor? I want to say no, because I remember the older towers they made did not have problems with cooling. But then they made the Mac Pro, I mean the trash can machine. I was really disappointed in that the video cards were dying in them. Because you made a computer that is shaped like a HEPA filter, where the entire thing is a heatsink and it still manages to overheat, which is just ridiculous. Does it have a T2 chip? I hope it doesn't. I really do, because artists and people, if you spend $53,000 in a computer, you don't give a flying fuck if the webcam plugged into it is not encrypted. More to come when I get my yearly bonus. Holy crap! Good luck with the new store. I don't know if I deserve that. Thank you, Clay Friedman. Thank you very much, Katie. Have everyone gone mad? Why are we researching these insane expensive workstations that nobody buys? They're not nobody, just a very small percentage.
Wait.
Oreo learns to wipe. Lewis marries Jessica.
Who's Jessica?
Next question. By the way, Erica is using a ThinkPad. Everybody, Erica is using a ThinkPad.
Maybe this is time for me to get my Apple back. What? Cleo's charging.
I think I understand what it was that Chris Brown heard from Rihanna before he did his whatever.
What?
She put down her ThinkPad and went to get her Apple.
Oh.
It has a T2 chip and it's paired to the SSD. Repairing is needed to upgrade storage. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously?
Hello, welcome.
Just starting out, your videos have helped. Thank you, Tristan. So, wait, seriously? iJustine and MB bought the full spec MacBook Pro. If they've got the money to waste. I don't know. Do they have enough effects in their video that they need that? Who's MB? I know iJustine is.
I have no idea.
What's MB?
I didn't even know who
Motherboard?
Eli was for the longest time.
Motherboard. Maybe they're talking about the Vice channel. The SSDs have integrated C2 chips. Seriously? So if the SSDs... So if the SSD dies, you can't just take it out and plug a new one in? Man. That's sad. That's sad. Unless you actually need the extra 24 gigs of video RAM, you should go for the RTX 6000.
You know, some people think that I no longer have my MacBook. That's a lie.
People think you don't have your MacBook?
Yeah. That's a terrible thing to assume. What?
It's a better world if you don't have your MacBook.
No. My MacBook's right over there.
Get rid of that piece of shit.
What? She's been with me through thick and thin.
Why not just build a pre-built PC and install Mac OS? Why not just torture yourself following the directions on Tony Mac x86, and then when they don't work, starting a forum thread and then praying that people care enough to walk you through your question? Why not just waste a week of time instead of work? Again, this machine that Apple has made is not for you. Not for you.
Man, your ThinkPad is so.
The CPU benchmark score on this ThinkPad is 5 times that of that piece of shit that you've got over there. Uh-oh. I've gotten dueled. Thanks for your videos, Lewis. I was able to fix Samsung game monitor, but rooming apps would be resistant to shorting an IC. Seeing you doing soldering with such ease gave me confidence I could do it too. Thank you, TARDIS. Overlapping Magisterius said, I hope to one day speak to you in person over the phone. I have a lot of questions regarding your opinion on business and politics, and I would pay for them. This is why I keep donating. You'd probably be very, very disappointed. The more you think you want to speak to me, the more disappointed you will be. My experience over the past 4 years has been the more someone thinks they want my opinion on things, the more excited they are to get my opinion on things, the more aggravated they will be to get my opinions on things. Get the fuck off my stream. The more aggravated they'll be when they hear my opinions in person.
What?
I just put my feet on this. I just rest my feet on this piece of shit. You pet the cat. I pet the kitty already. Is anything over 15 gigabytes really necessary? I've gotten to the point of using 16, but maybe that's because Vegas is a steaming pile of shit. It could be that Vegas is a pile of shit, which I think it is. Hey, let's see. Can I make Vegas crash on camera? I'm going to make Vegas crash on camera. I still use Vegas. Mark's MKBHD Brownlee was here. Ah, that's MB. I don't know how to pronounce the first part. When people put U in words where I'm not used to it, or Q's where I expect the K and vowels and stuff, it gets confusing for me. All right, let's see if I can make Vegas crash. I am going to make Vegas crash. Are you all ready?
It's not gonna crash.
That's what always fucking happens when I try to record this. It's on chips like U8900, so we can come to market with solutions faster for customers and share them with the world. Our productivity would go up, allowing us to offer chimney. You piece of shit. Oh! What's the best way to meet a lady friend when you work 24/7? Do videos on Mac repair, and then a woman that needs Mac repair will eventually come across your video and pretend to like you so she can get it repaired for free.
What?
Yeah, so see that? Vegas has already crashed. So if you want to crash Vegas, what you do is you enable ripple mode. This doesn't happen outside of ripple mode, but you turn ripple mode on, you start playing, and then you delete clips. So even if I were to split one clip and just delete a 3-second part of it, if I'm playing while in ripple mode and I delete something, you crash Vegas. But crashing Vegas is the easiest thing to do in the world. It's garbage software. Your opinions to be well-reasoned, even if I disagree. That's why I need to hear them. It's good peer review. We'll make more time for it on the other channel where there's not 180 messages a minute. I promise. We'll have time for more discussions of that stuff on the live channel when I go back to doing 7 to 8 hour streams again. But yeah, Vegas is really bad. I switched to DaVinci Resolve because I just got tired of this. This was really fucking frustrating to me. I've tried it on a ThinkPad P50, my Intel Core i9 machine at home, and my AMD Threadripper at the store. I've tried it on Windows 7. I've tried it on Windows 10. I've tried it on other people's PCs. I've tried it on mine. I've tried it on Lenovo's. Vegas crashing is a reality of life. It happens with Vegas 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. I just finally contacted Magix and said, I just want a refund. Just give me my money back. I keep spending money on the software thinking with the next version you will have fixed this garbage, and you don't. But I'm getting used to DaVinci Resolve. It's much less intuitive, and more of a pain in the ass to get some basic stuff done, but it doesn't crash. It doesn't crash. Ever. It's beautiful. Greenies for Clinton, the real star of the show. So Vegas is fucked just like an IRL. What's the squishy plush above you? What is this?
Yeastkin.
What is it?
Yeastkin. Why?
Yeast?
Yeah, yeast, like bread yeast.
Ew.
Yeastkin. Isn't he cute?
What is this thing? What is with you and all these little cute things?
Isn't he cute? I think he stretches. Look at that. Oh, look at that. He stretches. Hello, welcome.
Lewis is Chef Ramsay of computers.
All right, let's try.
I have no attractive qualities. That makes two of us, Chris Packrat. Samit Patel discussed in last video. Making Vegas crash a demonstration. Yeah, it really takes no work to destroy that program. I remember reading on these forums too where people would say that it's only crashing because you pirated it. And that's bull. That's bull. That program fucking crashes because you opened it, not because you pirated it. You're using it wrong, Vegas, I mean Apple. Yeah, and just to show here, let's see. Here we go. So you can check this. I paid for this program. I paid $300 for this like a fucking idiot.
You paid $300 for this crap?
Well, no, I paid $300 for the old version, and then you pay $150 to $200 every time you want to upgrade. That's my serial number. That's my email. I don't give a fuck if you try to use it. I don't care because I don't use this trash anymore since it never works. I paid for this. It crashes just as much if you pay for it as if you pirate it. It doesn't matter.
Oh, jeez.
Have you guys ever played handball? I did, and I used to get my ass kicked, and it's... Wow, you're sheltered.
Yeah, I don't know what handball is.
Is Hawaii part of America?
Yeah.
You don't have handball there?
Is there another term for handball? Well, describe it to me.
So you take the ball,
Uh-huh.
and then you hit it. It goes to the wall,
Okay.
and then when it bounces off the wall, then the other person has to hit it and have it go on the wall, and then you have to hit it and have it hit the wall.
Yeah, I
And
never
then-
played that in Hawaii.
And then there's the noob version of it. Not sure why you still use Vegas. It's less stable than Premiere, and that's saying something. Less features too. Yeah, but that's the thing. Vegas is very user intuitive. I have to Google all different types of stuff with Resolve that I never had to with Vegas. And again, the time you spend Googling, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you make the things how do you make the playhead when it moves off the screen, not move where I am versus that? It just takes away from the time that you spend editing, which I have virtually no time to edit as is. But I would never want to switch to Premiere because Premiere is complicated and it crashes all the time, so it's the worst of both worlds. But I definitely do like DaVinci.
Hello, welcome.
Ericat Channel 2020 donation. JP gave $2 for that. Can I hack your email? Go for it.
Trenton said that if Vegas was on Mac OS, it would never crash. You want to buy the cheese grater?
No.
Aw.
Buy me a cheese grater, though. Christmas is coming up next week. You're a Mac user.
Wait, so you want a cheese grater?
Will you buy me the $52,000 one?
I have your credit card, I can.
Hello, welcome.
What? I'll put everything on there. I'm going to test how much that credit card limit is.
I'm going to kill this little thing.
What?
Hadouken.
No.
All of your videos, and Epstein didn't kill himself. He did not. Are you going to make an 8K video of your new store? The most advanced camera I have is a used NEX EA50.
Hello, welcome.
You don't want my advice in business, man. I can tell you a lot about how to fail, but I could tell you how to not fail based on having been there.
Okay, so Motoroid said that
Thank
he
you, though.
stripped one of the 3 screws on his laptop CPU cooling block, and he can't take it out. What would you recommend?
What you want if you strip the screw is something called an Exolite 175M. It'll allow you to get under the screw. So you think the screw is stripped and you think it can't be twisted out, but that's when you buy this thing.
Hello, welcome.
Oreo need to get a Mac so you can edit in Final Cut Pro. It's 4 in the night and I'm not sleeping because of your stream. Why not, though? Yeah, this is what you want to get because this will allow you to get under the screw. Let me show you. Here, where's the screen? So Exolite 175M, this thing. So you're going to grab the screw and then you'll be able to unscrew it. This will get under almost any screw. This thing saved my ass in 2009 at the end of the year when I was dealing with a laptop somebody else opened. And if I wasn't able to get the board out to ultrasonic it, I wouldn't have been able to fix it. If I wasn't able to fix it, I wouldn't have got the money. If I didn't get the money, I would have starved for Christmas because the week of Christmas, there's typically virtually no business at the time. Now, obviously, there is because we've scaled, but if you scale it back, that comes out to 0 customers. So I would have probably starved the week of Christmas since I was down on about my last $6. I bought this tool, got the screw out, ultrasonic the machine, jumped the turnstile at the MTA to get myself over to the customer, and got my $170 and was able to eat the week of Christmas. All thanks to Dale Pro Audio being open on Christmas Eve. By the way, shout out to Dale Pro Audio for being open on Christmas Eve 2009 when everybody else was closed and stocking the Exolite 175M for about $7. Is the 2009 MacBook Pro better than the mid-2015? Better in terms of it's faster? Yes. Better in terms of the keyboard won't die for no reason? No. Better in terms of the fact that there's not a 52-volt data line right next to the line going to the CPU? No. Better in terms of if something happens to your machine, you can just unplug the drive and plug it into another machine and get your data? No. No.
Welcome.
It's really on you. What do you value? Do you value reliability and durability, or do you value specs? Ericat Channel 2020 donation, yes, please. Can I get those old analog cameras? They've all been kind of bashed. I'm probably going to throw them away. The problem is going to be I don't really know who you are or how to reach out to you. And if you reach out to me, I have about 500 unread emails in my inbox, which means I'm likely to ignore it. So if you manage to figure out it, yeah, I don't really have a means of getting them to you.
Hello,
Because the
welcome.
only means of contacting me is likely going to be put to low priority so that I can get to the other 500 unread emails. I'm sorry. There are some analog cameras there. They do look pretty rough in that new space, though. They look really rough. Luis funded 500 CRCs. Thank you for the CRC.
Someone has like a 2011 MacBook Pro 17-inch failed GPU. What did they do?
Which one?
2011 MacBook.
You send it to Das Dude so that he can modify it.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah. Send them a Twitch message. I didn't get to reading my 3 years of Twitch messages until 2 days ago, actually. Oh.
You didn't miss much on this one.
Who wants my copy of Vegas 16? Says hi hi. I actually paid for hi hi's copy of that piece of shit software.
Oh.
Makes me sick. What am I still doing here? See you in the next video. Can I kick the Mac?
Huh?
Can I step on the MacBook on stream?
What MacBook?
That.
You know what? You can, but if you damage it, you gotta fix it. Because I know you can.
What if I get you a ThinkPad and I paint it silver and I write MacBook on it in my best handwriting and I
Your
install
best handwriting.
and I install OS 10 Hackintosh on it and I even put the Wi-Fi card in it that will allow OS 10 to see it. So you'll have Wi-Fi.
What about it?
Would you take it over that?
I would use it concurrently. What? What? She's still fine. I want to see her make 10 years old. She's almost at 8.
You're going to keep that thing in my apartment for the next 3 years?
You can resurrect her if she dies.